Hey everybody and welcome back to Split Couch Games. I'm Scott
And I'm Ben.
and this is Couchcast number 62. We're going to be talking about kind of not necessarily a trend, but there's been a few games in the past I would say like a couple of years that have, for me personally, that have lacked that polish that I would like to see. Um but Ben brought up the point that it's been happening for a while, so we're gonna be just talking about that, like what games we're talking about, and like maybe what will fix it. Which there's really only one thing in my mind that will fix it, but we'll kind of get to that
Well, I mean, it's honestly, in my opinion, a rather complicated topic.
for sure.
Um, and I feel like that is mainly because, depending on the scope of the game and everything, that's obviously going to have a huge impact on the ability for polish.
Yeah.
Because when we're talking about games like Skyrim and Fallout and everything that are absolutely massive, or even like GTA 5, like there's bound to be floating rocks and grass coming out of walls and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And again, in those types of games, because they are so open and free for you to do basically whatever you want, there's no way that any test team could ever really account for all the possibilities that
Yeah.
players in the real world would run into. There are obviously going to be, bugs even in those games that, you kind of have to sit there and scratch your head a bit and be like, how was this not caught and fixed? Specifically, talking about the Elder Scrolls, there's a bug where there's like this quest chain where you fix like this enchanted potion vial or whatever, and then once a day it fills up with a super powerful potion, and you can pick which one. It will either benefit health, magic, or stamina. I don't remember all the details, but like during a part of the quest, you have to go get a Briar Heart. But if you have a Briar Heart in your inventory when you start that quest, it breaks it.
Oops.
Yeah, and it breaks it in a way where like you will never ever be able to finish it again, and you also now have a Briar Heart permanently in your inventory that is labeled as a quest item.
And you can't get rid of it.
Yeah, you can't sell it, you can't use it to make a potion, nothing.
That's
But
frustrating.
yeah, well, yeah, and then you also can't like use that quest item Briarheart to progress the quest. So, so yeah, I mean, the scope of the games I feel like has a major impact.
Yeah, for
Um,
sure.
I don't know which couple of games you were specifically referring to, but any games that I have played that have been noticeably buggy have always been like large open world experiences. So
Yeah.
they can be forgiven a little.
Yeah. Well, for me, when I say polish, I'm not necessarily meaning in terms of bugs, but kind of just the overall experience. Could use like a little fine tuning. For me, it's Gears and Halo. Gears 4 and Halo 5 sort of fit into that a little bit, and both have had like amazing post-launch support that has fixed a lot of the issues, but even still there's like a few things that could have been done better and could still be done better, especially in Gears, which is what I know most about. But things like the ranking system for a lot of people doesn't make any sense. Like for instance, like my friend and I, we pretty much exclusively play together,
Yeah.
but I'm ranked higher than him and we have no idea why. Like, and it's not that like I necessarily perform better than him or anything. We sort of switch out who plays better every match. so it's not that, but I'm
Yeah.
a full rank higher than he is. And so things like that, and like especially like at the beginning, he was running into these issues where he would get kicked from matches pretty constantly. Like 1 out of every 10 matches before they started, he would just get like kicked back to the menu, and it was like, cool. But it never happened to me, so like I never really experienced that.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
But I don't know.
that
It
very
just-
well could have been a network issue on his end.
Could have been, but it just
So-
magically fixed itself one day, and he doesn't really see it anymore.
Yeah.
Except for now, if my friend Sam and him are both in a match, one of them gets kicked. They just can't play together.
They
It's
aren't
the
on the
weirdest
same
thing.
network or anything, are they?
No,
No?
no, not even close.
Oh.
All
Alright, well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I
don't know,
I
like-
don't know.
I think like the biggest thing in that instance is time. And,
Well,
and
I
part of
mean-
that is scope, but
Well,
Um,
I also feel like you're not necessarily talking about polish so much as it is that you're talking about like core design mechanics being more refined, which is to a certain extent polish, but it's not polish in the way that most people view polish.
Well, I mean, I
because
guess,
that's early development polish. Because
Sure.
typically, a lot of like the core systems and maybe in Gears 4, movement wasn't quite perfect and then they patched it later or something.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's something that, is going to be set in stone like a year or more potentially before release.
yeah.
So,
Well, I mean, like, what I mean is that like they have a lot of systems that are really close, and like for the most part, like the actual gameplay of the game is, I think, pretty much perfect. Like I wouldn't really change much about it from a personal standpoint. But when it's like the menu systems are just a little wonky. Like there's just a couple of like minute things that I wish were a little bit better, and
like,
so like
what?
everything works. Just like the private lobby system, like is just like a little clunky. Like I can't, without like going too in depth, I can't really like explain it. Like, but like finding certain options is harder to find than they should be. And I mean, most of it is like the ranking system and like the matchmaking system a little bit. Like sometimes is just way off. But very rarely. So it's like it works how it should be, like 99% of the time. But then there's just like something goes wrong. And that's the case with a lot of things in that game. If that makes sense. Where it's like it works and it's great, but there's just a few edge cases that could have been touched up.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I guess I kind of understand that.
Yeah.
I still feel like that's not quite polish and more. I don't know, but
Well, I mean, I just mean, like by that I just mean like it's polishing the edges, like. But
I feel like
see-
at this point it's more like you're talking about like polishing a diamond,
Sure.
where it already looks pretty awesome, but then like you, the guy that's been staring at it for 5,000 hours, like there's a fucking smudge right here.
I mean,
I need to get rid of the smudge, and
I see that, but it's also like these are things that have been bothering us since launch.
sure.
Like, it's not like. you
But
know,
I mean,
we're like,
I'm not saying that like
Yeah.
your complaints aren't valid, as much as it is that I feel like the things that are bothering you are so small that it
Sure.
shouldn't matter. Like it shouldn't be a complaint. Like it's like walking into a restaurant and you're like, I don't smell enough salt being used on the dishes here. That needs to change. And it's like that. What? I mean, first of all,
Sure.
the fact that you can smell that is weird. But second, why does it matter as long as your dish is made perfectly? But
Yeah, I mean, I get it. And like it's part of it is like it's been a while since launch, and they fixed a lot of the issues that I had. Like even before, one of the big things was that they didn't have a lobby system for ranked matches. So each time you had to like everyone on your team had to quit out of the game, get back into the lobby, and then launch back in. They fixed it to be seamless, but that was like something that like it was a design choice, obviously, to not have the lobby system.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, every other game has a lobby system like that. So like, it was just like one of those things that, yeah, like a lot of the issues now are fixed with more time, obviously, and like now there's like the little gripes where it's like, oh, this would be really nice if they fixed it for the next game. But
yeah.
And yeah, but anyway, going back to, you know, Skyrim and Fallout, like I completely understand that like the scope of those games, like there's no way that you're going to fix every single bug. And even in smaller games like Gears and Halo, like when we were playing through Halo 5, we saw that one massive like hole, or like one of the pieces of wall was offset so you could just like see through the gap, and it really kind of pissed me and Josh off specifically.
I don't remember that at all, but
it was like
sure.
It was like on the like elevator. It was like halfway through the game or whatever. It was just, it pissed us off. Purely a personal problem, but it's like that stuff happens, and there's no way that in any game you're gonna get every little thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, like I don't care too much about those. Like it's kind of funny to make fun of them, but I don't really care that much. If that makes sense. I don't know.
Yeah, it does. I don't know. I guess we have, you know, different definitions of polish and everything. Because I mean, to me, polish is like, you know, these are clear, obvious bugs. Like, you know, they for some people it may impact their their experience, whether it's because, you know, immersion is broken or a quest is blocked or something like that. You know, I mean,
yeah.
And for you, it's something completely different, apparently, that has more to do with UI design choices, it sounds like.
I mean,
UI and UX, I guess.
I mean, yeah, but like it goes along the same lines though. Is it like not necessarily like breaking immersion in the case of Gears, but like breaking that like the fun. Like it's breaking up the fun. It's like, oh shit, like this is frustrating for a couple seconds. Then you move on, obviously, but like, I mean, the UI and the UX is part of the game.
Sure, I guess just like for something like that, I can see how it would be annoying. Like, don't get me wrong, I understand that. I've dealt with, you know, bad UI in games before. And, you know, PUBG is a shining example of how not to do UI on a console.
For the inventory system?
Yes. There are so many better ways that it could be done, but, you know, it'll get there eventually, I'm sure. But I don't really let those things bother me. And it's interesting that, like, you know, oh god, like this one thing and like the private lobby thing just fucking pisses me off for all of about 2 seconds. Now my game is ruined.
No, I mean, I'm not saying that it's ruined, because like it is a small thing, which is why it's polish. Like it's just like, you know, if we adjust like this couple of things here, which obviously is not always a small task, like it can be complicated and whatever, but
yeah,
like it's just a small thing that like does take away from the experience slightly. And I'm not saying like it completely ruins the game. It's just like, this is frustrating, and then you move on.
So now that we've talked about that for a while, I feel like we should talk about real polish and what everybody else defines as polish, and what your thoughts are on all of that kind of stuff. You know, going beyond obvious, I guess, almost exceptions that need to be made. you know, like Skyrim and Fallout and everything. And this is probably a question that you can't even really answer, but I mean, have there been any games recently that aren't to that scope that have had, you know, numerous, you know, clear bugs, you know, floating grass, boxes that are clipping through walls, something like that? Or, you know, gameplay breaking bugs.
See. Gameplay breaking? Ooh. Let's see. Looking at my stack of games here.
You mean all your, like, Xbox 360 games?
Yeah. Hopefully it sparks something. I mean, there's been times in games where you're supposed to be able to like clear out enemies, but they keep spawning or something like that. I think Gears of War 3 is the most notable example for me, because like most games, like I'm like, okay, this is happening, then I just move on and I don't really think about it ever again. Like I restart it and then it resets itself. But Gears 3, there was a time where or Gears 2, sorry, where you're flying through the caves on the Reaver, and my friend and I, we broke it and got into a loop where everything just happened over and over again. It was weird.
Awesome.
But yeah, no, I mean, I think that they happen. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like you said, like I haven't played a whole lot of games lately. I used to think I was a gamer. I'm not.
No, I mean, you're just the type of gamer that most other gamers don't like, because they buy like the one game and then play it for years.
Yeah.
And I'm working on. Yeah, I'm a gamer. Oh yeah, what do you play? Call of Duty, or you know, Madden, or Gears of War. Or...
Speaking of which, I've been playing Madden.
Yeah, I know.
What really pisses me off on that game, and like it looks silly, and like I don't know, like it's probably not something that's like super fixable, but it is kind of something I would really like. Is there's times where like you have a guy that's blocking for you while you're running, and then the guy that he's blocking just like magically like breaks off and then like latches onto your guy like magnetically, and it looks fucking dumb. And it looks like you should have gone through, but they're like, nope, you got tackled. And I'm like, are you fucking with me right now?
It's kind of funny that that's still an issue, because I feel like that was an issue in the last Madden game I played, which would have been like Madden 2000, I think.
Yeah, I mean, like it's much more rare, but it's still like
a thing.
'Cause it's almost like the animation just like skips and it's like, and you're like, motherfucker. It's goddamn bullshit. And also like, for the most part, like it controls pretty well, but like sometimes when you're running, you're like, all right, I want to run. I'm going to run to this spot, and then like something happens to where like you just kind of like take a left right into the defender, and you're like, that's not where I wanted to go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, random thing that I found really funny is that the Writers Guild of America got their put out their nominations for best video game writing. And Horizon Zero Dawn was in there. A couple other obvious games that I can't think of right now. But then Madden is on that list because of their story mode.
I was going to say, doesn't it have a story mode or something?
So I'm going to play that at some point, see how good it actually is, because I'm actually really curious now.
And is that only for 2017?
Yeah. I think they had like a version of it for like 2016 or something, or like a lot of their sports games now kind of have that.
Yeah, I guess I was just trying to think, like, how is it that of all the games, Madden's story mode was one that got picked for best, or it was nominated or whatever for having, you know, the extremely good writing.
Well, I mean, I can see it because...
Well, I mean, I'm not saying it's not possible.
Yeah.
It's just... I don't know if the fault in there lies with it's just that good.
Which is what I'm going to figure out for us.
Or if it's everything else, in their opinion, was just that bad.
It could, like, my thought was that, like, because I realized that, like, so what it's gonna do is it's gonna tell a very real story. Like, there's not like any magic. There's not like science fiction or anything. Like, it's a very like grounded in like our reality, and I could see that being something that would appeal to the Writers Guild, which is not necessarily into video games.
Yeah, I guess.
But like I said, I'm gonna play it at some point in the next couple weeks. I will fill you guys in, and
Good to know.
or you could play it.
No,
play it
I will. No, never, never, ever,
Yeah.
ever, never, ever, ever, never. Anyways, that was beautiful of me to do that right into the microphone.
Ooh boy, leaving that in. I'm gonna amplify it, put some reverb on it. Ooh.
Crap, what was it? There was a game that I was wanting to talk about. Oh, because polish and refinement is the actual topic, not writing. So, as I'm sure that you've seen, I've been playing some Star Wars Battlefront 2.
Oh yeah.
It was on sale for like 45% off or something, so I decided to get it after having talked with a bunch of people. And before I get into the actual related portion of this, I just want to say that it's a very fun game. I'm having a fucking blast with it. I love it. Still hate what they tried to do with microtransactions.
Yeah.
And if they don't like change anything in a major way in terms of how the game progresses, and they still bring microtransactions back, still gonna hate it.
How is like
Game.
how
well,
is the progression system, like, really quick? Less than 30 seconds. Go.
I mean, right now it's kind of broken. If you're not completing challenges, you're not going to be earning very much in terms of credits.
Okay.
And obviously credits are what you use to buy the loot boxes. So, well, at least, you know, in terms of in-game currency.
Yeah.
But you can't purchase the premium currency anymore, I don't think. I think that's how they limited it. But, yeah, I mean, it's fine, I guess. You progress slow if you're not completing challenges, so...
Okay, so it kind of forces you to play in a certain way.
Yeah, you kind of have to be a little deliberate, but if you don't really care about that, and you're just like, I want to have fun, then it doesn't really matter. 'Cause, I mean, you know, I played a whole bunch of Starfighter Assault last night, and, I mean, I definitely... I think I had one card, like one star card for the Interceptor class of Starfighter, and all it did was like improve my speed by like 2%. And I wasn't doing the best.
He's out of control. He's going 2% faster.
But I wasn't doing the worst either. I was playing pretty middle ground. And I feel like a lot of that has to do with the fact that I don't know the maps or anything like that yet.
Sure.
But it also has to do with the fact that for some reason I cannot for the life of me fly a fucking TIE fighter. You would think that like controlling these things is exactly the same, and like the controls are the same, but for some reason when I'm in a TIE fighter, I seem to roll a lot more than when I'm in like an X-Wing or an A-Wing or a Y-Wing or something.
Well, that's because the TIE Fighter is square. So it goes... it doesn't have that balance. I don't know.
Yeah, anyways.
That doesn't make any sense.
So, to my point, when it comes to polish and shit, whether it is network latency or physics boxes not being exactly 100% accurate, if you're going to have a game mode where you are flying things around in 3D space, and you are going to litter the map with a shit ton of debris because it's supposed to be like, oh, you're flying through like an old battlefield and there's a bunch of wreckage.
Yeah.
Your object collision needs to be on point.
Uh-oh.
You can't have any of this bullshit where you're flying like just above it. You're not hitting anything, but you're still too close, so you explode. That pissed me off last night because like my very last round was on this map I had never played on, and as we were doing like the fly-in cinematic intro thingy, I was like, oh god, this is gonna be a train wreck, because I knew it's like I don't know this map at all, so I'm already gonna be turning straight into debris all the time.
Yeah.
And that
sorry. Go
I was just gonna say, and that happened a few times, but there were a bunch of times where it's like I would be, like turning, and I would just like miss something barely. So I was like, yeah, that's awesome, and then like as I'm pulling away from it, I explode. So like I said, whether it's object collision or network stuff, something needs to be fixed there, because
So I guess like how this is gonna be kind of a dumb question, but like, is the camera angle, like, because you said you were flying over it, is the camera angle on flying? Because I assume it's third person when you're flying, right?
It's third or first.
Yeah, I assume you're doing third.
Yeah.
Okay. Are you able to see the bot? Like, is it possible that maybe like the camera angle was causing you to think that you got past it or something, or
no? Because
or is it like super obvious?
It wasn't always super obvious, but there were definitely some clear instances where I was passing by some debris like on my left or right, so it's like I can 100% see I did not touch that thing, and it's like, nope, you're dead. Boom. So
it's either there's collision problems or it's latency, because the debris moves around.
What?
Does the debris move around, or
some of it does, I think, but I think the debris that moves doesn't have collision, and it's only like small bits, and they're like off in the distance.
Okay, so it's sort of just like a wall then.
Yeah.
That's probably not networking then.
Well, I mean, the only thing that I could think is that like it could be networking, because like on my screen I'm here, but the server thinks I'm here, so I fly past it, but the server's like, no, you should have hit it, and then I die.
Yeah, I suppose.
But
I don't know why the server would think you're there, though. It's bad,
Yeah, and I mean, there's no way for me to really know for sure what exactly is going on without like getting into super speculation territory.
Well, what we do is we go and we test this in some private matches, and we find out what's going on.
Are there even any private matches?
The fuck, I don't know. I don't own the game.
I just wasn't sure if you knew something I didn't, because I don't think there are, but...
Well, that seems like a mistake. Well, I guess I don't know. It's fine.
Yeah.
Speaking of... actually, that has nothing to do with anything. Speaking of EA games, Army of Two is going to be free on Xbox on the 15th.
Good for Army of Two.
You should get it. You should play it.
I will probably claim it just so that it is in my library, as I do with most of the games for gold if they seem appealing, but I'll claim it just for you and then never play it.
That's fair.
Don't
play it unless you're recording like live with camera, because I want to see your frustrations with the controls, because they are absolute ass. They're just the worst controls ever. But it's such a fun game because it's so silly.
I remember playing the demo for one of them. I think it was
probably
the second one.
The second one was much, like, the controls were a lot better in the second one.
Sure. They still weren't great, though, and the overall premise of the game did not appeal to me in the slightest.
Yeah. Well, it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not gonna argue with you on that. Like, no, it was just like it was really fun. Like, it was a really fun co-op experience. Like, you don't care about the story. You just go in and like play basically just fuck around with your team, and like the aggro system was really awesome and fun to. And yeah, I mean, I think like we should play that at some point. I'm really I'm curious if that means that they're bringing the servers back for it, so that there's online play. Like, so a few years ago, I had my friend buy it for like $2 off of Amazon, and we couldn't play it because they had shut down the servers. Like, we couldn't like.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, I can only assume that they are, at least to some extent, because
yeah.
I mean, I could be wrong, but I feel like with the whole backwards compatibility thing, like any online games that get that treatment are, they're given some of the, servers that Microsoft has.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I'm pretty sure. I don't know if it's out on backwards compatibility yet, but I'm pretty sure it was at least announced that Bad Company, maybe just the first one, or maybe just the second one, or maybe both. I don't know, but one of them was going to be coming to backwards compatible.
Interesting.
And I can't imagine they would bring back a Battlefield game without any sort of online functionality. So
yeah. That would be surprising. All right. I had one last thing I was going to say, but I completely forgot what it was. So we'll just go ahead and end it right there.
All right, sounds good.
Thank you guys for joining us. Let us know any bugs that you found or anything that like you could use my definition of polish. You could use Ben's definition of polish. Either way, let us know what you guys think. And yeah, we'll see you guys next time on Split Couch Games.
Bye.
Bye.